Greetings and welcome to Yarnspirations. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at the crisscross stripes knit blanket. Now this is a really interesting textured pattern made by alternating 6 rows of garter stitch with a wrap stitch in which you knit the stitches in a different order than they present on the needles. And if that sounds complicated, then take a look and we'll show you how to do it. Please download the pattern by clicking on the link below. And while you're down there, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. But let's take a look at this interesting pattern. Here's what our stitch pattern looks like up close and personal. My swatch, of course, is smaller than your big blanket's going to be. What I want to look at specifically is the 7th and 8th rows, because the 1st through 6th rows are just knit rows to give you these garter stitch sections. So let's take a closer look at the 7th row. It says knit wrapping yarn around needle 4 times per stitch. So you are inserting your right hand needle tip into the front of the stitch like you normally would, or vice versa if you're left-handed. Instead of just wrapping once and pulling it through, you're going to wrap it a total of 4 times. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Now note when I'm pulling these 4 wraps through, I have a little bit of pressure on the working yarn, and that's to keep everything from popping off the end. So now I'm bringing all 4 through. I want to make sure that I get them up on the fat part of the needle, because if I work too close to the tip, that's going to be super tight and super irritating later. So I have knit 1 stitch, but I have 4 wraps. Let's see that again. I will go through the front of the stitch like I normally would. Wrap 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slight pressure on that working yarn, bring all 4 wraps through, push the needle off, push the stitch off the left hand needle. One last time, through the front of the stitch like normal. 1, 2, 3, 4, pull them all through as one, push the stitch off the left hand needle. So I'm going to do this all the way across this row. So this is what my needle looks like at the end of the 7th row. That's a lot of extra wraps on there, but that's exactly how it should look. Moving on to the 8th row. This is sort of a 2-part row. So don't let all the paragraphs fool you. It's not that complicated once you have gotten a look at it and you see what you're trying to do. So it says to set up, slip all stitches to right hand needle 1 at a time, dropping extra wraps. So every time that there are 4, you're going to pick up 1 and push all 4 off. See how that grew up to a great big tall stitch? I'm going to keep going. I'm going to put my needle tip under 1 of those wraps, let the other 3 fall off. 1 of those wraps, let the other 3 fall off, and I'm going to do this all the way across. And this is what it looks like on the right hand needle. We have those nice tall loops. So I've gotten them all on the right hand needle. They're more or less the same size. They'll even themselves out as you stitch. So the next thing it says is slide stitches to other end of circular needle to begin working as follows. So that's the last stitch that I put over to the right needle. Now I'm going to slide the whole ball game so that my left hand needle is where the working yarn is, so I can start the second part of the row. Now, we do have a diagram to help you sort of visualize how this goes. There's our diagram that's on the 2nd page. But to see it in real life is like this. Pull the 5th stitch on the left hand needle over the first 4 stitches and knit this stitch, wrapping yarn twice around needle. So we have 1, 2, 3, Sorry, I got a little tangled here. These four guys are going to hang out for a little while. So we're going to take the 5th stitch, pass it over these 4 stitches, and I'm going to knit it, wrapping the yarn around twice. 1, 2. Pull that through. Now I can push that guy off. So here's my 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still on the needle. 5 came off. So now I'm going to grab the 6th stitch, pull that over the first 4 stitches, and knit it, wrapping the yarn twice. 1, 2, and then I'm going to pop him off the left hand needle. Now I'm going to take the 7th stitch, pass it over the first 4, knit, wrapping the yarn twice, and the 8th stitch, passing it over the 4, knit, wrapping twice. So I have 4 stitches on my right hand needle, each with 2 wraps. Now I'm going to do that 2 wrap thing. I'm going to knit the 4 stitches that I passed the stitches over. So I'm going to knit these skipped stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know it looks like madness, but this is what gives us our crisscross. Now I'm going to pull up the next 8 stitches to the tip of the needle, and we're going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to leave 1, 2, 3. Oops, we got a little twisted here. So I'm going to leave these 4 guys hanging on the end. I'm going to grab the 5th one, pull it over the first 4, and knit it, wrapping twice. 1, 2. So I'm going to do the same thing over and over again. I'm going to have 4 stitches that are hanging out near the end. I'm going to pull over and knit 4 stitches one at a time with a double wrap. And then I'm going to knit the 4 skipped stitches one at a time with a double wrap. And I'm going to do that all the way across. Now the last thing I want to look at on camera, I'm going to keep going. There's my crisscross. There's my crisscross. The last thing I want to look at real quick is the when I do the next row. So after I'm finished this 8th row, I'm going to repeat rows 1 through 8 for pattern, and 1 through 6, as you know, are the garter stitches, the knit rows, but they look a little bit different with the double wrap stitches. So I'm going to finish this row off, and I'm going to take just a brief look at row 1. Here I am at the end of my 8th row. So once again, I'm going to repeat rows 1 through 8 for pattern, and 1 through 6 are knit. However, that first one, that row one's going to look slightly different just because you have a double wrapped stitch there instead of a single wrapped. Honestly, all you're going to do is knit the first wrap that you see and push them both off. Knit the first wrap that you see, push them both off. Knit the first wrap that you see, push them both off, and you're going to do that. So that first knit row has a little more height to it, but it's to accommodate the, you know, the big cross stitches, because those big cross stitches are so tall, you need just a little bit of extra room to let them lay flat. Then you will knit the rest of your garter stitch rows like you normally would. So thank you so much for joining us here for the Crisscross Stripes Knit Blanket. I'm Mary Beth Temple for Hooked for Life. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel for fresh content weekly on knitting, crocheting, and other yarny stuff. And we look forward to seeing you again here real soon. Bye-bye.